What is up, nerd friends? Welcome back to the Nerd Bench. There is a all-new Max 8 G2. That is right, sensor-based, waterproof good times. I got a pre-production sample a while back, and I have not had a chance to get it out here on the bench. Quick and dirty is, it has a bunch of new features that'll all be listed and linked down below, but the important things remain the same. The Max series is one of the few that works with all of the programmers, the OTA, the LCD box, or the LED card, and you can change all of the settings. Now, a big common question that we get, do you need one of those? No, you don't. It's just for the tuning or changing of the settings easier. It works perfectly fine right out of the package. New for the Max series, the motor changed shape. It's a 4278 now, whereas it used to be a 4274. And those numbers stand for the diameter and the length. And you can see there it is about 4 millimeters longer. Diameter remains the same. The heat sinking comes back, but there's more heat sink. So the advantage here is that if you get into a situation where you want to cool your motor off, pretty much all you got to do is mount a fan beside the motor, and the heatsink will soak up the air, if you will, and do its job a little bit better. We get a lot of questions about fan mounts, stuff like that. I always tell everybody the same thing. You can use about any fan, and you just DIY mount it to the vehicle. You can cut up some Lexan, use some zip ties. I've even gone as simple as double side taping my fan to the side of the motor, or the area next to the motor type of deal. But for the most part, I don't run a lot of motor fans on my rigs. If the speed control has its fan, it will generally be cooler than the motor is, and that's the most important thing. We do get questions about max temperature, and an electric motor is not like an engine. It doesn't have to get to a certain operating temperature. So the maximum temperature that you want to see at the end of your run is about 160 degrees Fahrenheit on the outside. That's a 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, ouch, it burns type of situation, or with an infrared temp gun. Now, the nice thing about the new Max series is they do have basic data logging as well as the real-time data output. So you can do what's essentially telemetry, but on the benchtop, because you only have the range of your Bluetooth, which is obviously not very much. So it's not something that you're going to use to drive the car around and see what the temperatures are, but you could pull it in, pop open your app, and check that out. Now, I am not a fan of leaving the OTA installed in your vehicle. It's like having another $50 bill in there dancing around that could have either damage or whatever the case may be. But if that's your jam, it can be done. It's not one of the things I like to do. Speed control is, give or take, about the same size. You got a, call it 48 millimeter that way. You got, call it 61, well, we'll call it 60 actually, if I get it right down onto the case, not on the seal. And then your height to, let's say, the top of the screws, because I like that, is right around 40 millimeters. So not too shabby. And as we talked about before, the motor is going to be right at 78, and the diameter will be right at 42 at its big spots. So big news though, the big deal is this is a censored setup. This is one of the first in the series of the Max that got the censored treatment, and it is a waterproof sensor harness with the silicone rubber seals in the back, and the motors are now made to be disassemblable. You can take the end bells off, clean out the inserts, and put it back together without too much fuss. Easier to get to the bearings and stuff like that as well, because if you're going to have a system that you drive in the water, you're going to have to take it apart and clean it. That's just the way of the world, unfortunately. It also gets the new G2 style frameless fans, and what that essentially means is the fan moves more air with less input power, so you get a more efficient cooling setup. Not only is it more air, but it uses less of the power. Speed control also got a BEC upgrade, so the BEC's been improved, of course. And like I said, the hard details on what the differences are all going to be listed in that link down below, so check that out if you're really concerned. But this is going to be the new latest and greatest kind of basher slash even for some racers setup. The downside to this one is if you're going to go like sanctioned racing, technically this motor's not legal. It doesn't fall within the sides of that if you go to like whatever roar events or whatever. But for everything else, totally fine. It's a bad mamma jamma. This one is a 2250 kV, and like I said, the link down below will show you all the options. It does have the 6mm bullets, and it comes with the XT90s, which I am a big fan of. If you're going to go super big power, you could upgrade to the QS8s that have the anti-spark and all that fun stuff. But that does it. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns on this particular system, please feel free to shoot us an email. NorthAmerica@Hobbywing.com is the email address. And as you can see, I do not have this installed into a vehicle yet. So if you have some suggestions for what vehicle you'd like us to snag to put this into, leave that in the comments down below, and I will do my best to get my hands on one of those and shred the gnar with it. Don't forget, we also have a podcast. If you're into podcasts, check us out on your favorite podcast service. It is called RC Stuff, powered by Hobbywing. And each and every episode, we do a giveaway of free RC stuff. You can find out how to enter for that on the podcast. Thanks again for watching, everybody. This is another episode, new every Tuesday, of The Charlie Show. We will see you next time.